Welcome back, friends, to TV5 News at 9. We are back with another edition of Ask the Sheriff. We have Gladwin County Sheriff Michael Shea here. How are you? We're so glad you're here today.
Good morning, Colette. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're so delighted that you're here. Today we are talking about Gladwin County's 911 emergency call center. So, Sheriff, do all the call centers, do they operate the same way?
The police, fire, and medical emergencies are all similar in every county, but how they're administrated, where their money comes from, and how they're ran from an authority board. And in Gladwin County's case, it's under the authority of the sheriff. So there are a little bit of difference in the administration.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting. So 3G coverage is phasing out, Sheriff. So will this affect how 911 centers operate?
Yeah, if you have 3G coverage, in fact, years ago there was an initiative to take the old cell phones that were disbanded and grab those, collect those, give those to maybe senior citizens or underprivileged folks that happens because the 911 feature still works.
Yeah.
If they operate under 3G coverage, they will no longer be able to call 911 for help. So it's important to know if you have one of those phones.
Yeah, of course it is. So when will the 3G providers stop this coverage?
During 2022, the three of the major providers, Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile will, and some of those have already begun that process. In fact, some of them are already through it. So it's important to know if you have some of those for coverage, if you have an active phone, and you can actually reach out to your provider and they'll tell you what stage of that reduction or elimination they're at.
Oh, that's a good tip. And does this just affect phone calls?
No, the medical, maybe I've fallen and I can't get up, those kind of things, home security devices, like alarm systems and those kind of things. There's a lot more than just the actual emergency call feature that can be affected. So call your provider, communicate with whoever provides those services for you.
So, Sheriff, how should we prepare for the elimination of this?
One of the things you can do is reach out again to your provider.
Okay.
The other thing, if you have a call center and you want to do a test call, my suggestion is to call their non-emergency line first to make sure there's not an emergency going on, and then reach out to them and have them activate that if you're completely unsure. That would be the last thing to do. The first thing to do is really contact your provider, and they'll tell you specifics about the coverage you have. Okay,
that's what we need to know specifically. Okay, so before you go, Sheriff, we wanted to ask you about the people that are actually working the 911 centers. When we call in an emergency, we're not always thinking about the person that's on the other end, right? So how is it really like working with them? You know, they always they're so helpful, and they're, I mean, a lifeline.
Yeah, you're right. They're probably the most overworked and yet underappreciated group in emergency services for your police, fire, and medical emergencies.
Yes.
You very seldom, if ever, see those out. They don't come on the fire truck or in the car or in the ambulance. But I'll tell you what a great, in fact, this Sunday starts National Telecommunications Week.
Oh, wow.
So reach out to those folks. If you know they're a dispatcher, telecommunicator, reach out to them and tell them thanks. They would appreciate that.
I love that. Anything else you want to remind us as we're here in spring, opening day today, anything that we should be aware of?
There is some ice remaining, and some of those things we're having issues where folks still think they can make that jump from shore to ice.
Gosh.
So staying off those pieces of ice is obviously a thing, because in some of the bays and some of the things where there's no moving water, but you know, just be safe. And John's going to give us great weather advice soon.
We're getting, Sunday's going to be beautiful and sunny, and then next week, the few days, John's going to tell us about 60s.
Yeah, fantastic. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you,
My
Sheriff,
pleasure.
for coming in. Wonderful information. We really need to know about that 3G service coverage. Thank you so much. And if you have any other questions that you have for Ask the Sheriff, just send it to WNEM@WNEM.com or send it to our social media. Do not go anywhere. John has your forecast, rainy and sunny, after the break.